Zlurpcast!
Look at these shirts. Oh my God. Yeah! Look at that. Death Path All-Stars. Biran's got one on. He's a bald fuck. So am I. Xtreme is not a bald fuck yet. Not yet.
Working on it.
Yep.
He will be one. Right now, he's just a fuck. And then we have Mike. I don't want to say fat bearder, Mike.
Oh, you can say fat bearder. It's true.
Can I, would you rather be a fat bearder or a neck beard?
Oh, fat bearder.
Oh, okay, good. Just checking. And we have Ryan. He's not wearing his Zlurpcast shirt. He says he has bought in a Zlurpcast shirt before. He's wearing a, what's the band? Poseidon, if you will?
No, it's a movie. It's Possession.
Okay, Possession.
It's got Sam Neill in it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't know Sam Neill was British until I saw him in Possession.
Did he get possessed? No spoilers.
No.
Okay. Did he do the possessing?
No.
Is
Okay.
it as good as In the Mouth of Madness?
Yes. If you want to borrow it, I'll bring it tomorrow.
Yes,
Ryan,
please.
thanks for joining us. Are you a bald fuck?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. I mean, the lack of hair sort of gives it away, but as we indicated in our Archetypes episode, what do gamers look like way up there, that eventually I'll have to link at some point. You know, it's not 100% visual. It's, you know, it's the whole everything, like the attitude, the swagger, if you will. For the most part, looks though, because they're accurate, you know.
So actually, let me clarify then. Is there swagger involved in being a fuck, or is there no swagger involved?
Bald fuck is the guy you hate.
Right.
Okay? Without even getting into it, you know what I mean. He's yelling at his kid
Did not
and
buy something.
he's pissed at his wife and he's angry on the road all the time. He has a questionable Facebook account with some things he shouldn't say that if his boss saw it, they'd be pissed. You don't like bald fuck.
I'm gonna rescind it. I don't think
you're that.
We all aspire to be fat beards.
Is Ryan a fat bearder but not fat?
Yeah, just like bald. You don't have to be bald to be a bald fuck.
Yeah.
You don't have to be fat to be a fat beard.
Ryan, you're a fat bearder.
I'll allow it.
You know what? That's exactly what a fat bearder would say.
Yes.
Exactly.
You just
I like to go with the flow.
Yeah, it's like when someone says they don't want something, well, let them have it. You've just proven you deserve it. It's you've done that. Chris, great work. We brought you on second time. Only
Thank you.
Todd, I believe, has been on 2 episodes, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you are already tied for most prolific guest host already.
That's something.
Yeah, it is something.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah. And
While Ryan might not be a fan of the show, he doesn't actively dislike it like Todd does.
yeah. And I'm going to say Ryan gets the edge anyway, because Ryan's been on 2 game episodes, whereas Todd was on one talking about how great he is.
One bullshit episode, yep.
Right. It was literally an episode. Here's how great I am. Watch me suck my own dick for an hour. And then the 4 others can try to suck it if they can. Like, you're not doing that, Ryan. You don't need yours sucked. You're going to talk about a Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game from Cool Mini or Not, or as our last guest host says, Bobby, come on. He kept saying, come on. And that's probably the right way. I just never say that,
No, Leif says it's CMON.
Yeah.
We were just
that
having this
too.
conversation the other day, and it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I thought they were 2 different companies for a very long time.
Would you say,
Embarrassingly long time.
if you were ranking how to say the name of that company, I'm going to give you what I think are, I guess, 3 options. Cool Mini or Not, full. It's like, Biran Josephus Thompson, the full name, you know what I mean? CMON or come on. Is there a fourth?
Cool Mini.
Oh, Cool Mini. Okay.
Just truncate it for brevity's sake.
Anyone say
It's so negative. You can't say no, it's not a cool mini.
Yeah. Does anyone
I'm
say
in the fourth group.
CMON?
I'm sure someone does.
All right. Xtreme, what were you going to say?
I'm in the fourth group. I usually just say Cool Mini.
Yeah. I say Cool Mini or not, the whole thing. And I think it's because I go back to their old website where all you were rating models.
Yep.
I will always think of them that way.
And you always type not for every model posted. Not,
Right.
not.
Yeah, fun fact, around that same time that got popular, another website called Rate My Poo came out, and it was people take pictures of dumps and you rated them. It was amazing. One of my favorites, especially when eating. So this game we're going to talk about today, Song of Ice and Fire. A lot of people call it the Game of Thrones miniatures game, because that's it's like saying 40K, sort of, because but it's actually based off of the books. You can tell because the models don't look exactly like the actors or actors cast in that game. But the show or loved the show, for some that, played the game, some don't play the game anymore because they may not like the show anymore. But I'm going to make a bold statement right now that we'll see if it's true at the end of this episode. While this is a licensed game, we've done a lot of these, Star Wars Legion, Marvel Crisis Protocol, we've done a lot. This is a game that could stand on its own, regardless of the IP that's attached to it. So we'll find out at the end if that statement is agreed upon by the other Zlurpcast fellows here. Before we get into it, who here has played this game? Ooh,
Rare.
that 5 for 5. Show's over. Thanks everyone. Bye. Like and subscribe. That's already rare. That's elite category. There's probably single-digit games we've reviewed where that holds true. So I like that. We can all come in with a rating that is based on our actual gameplay, and that's even more even better than a typical one. So who here backed the Kickstarter? Okay. Biran, Xtreme, Mike, whatever order you want. Why did you skip over this Kickstarter? Because you were aware of it. It was a pretty big deal when it came out.
They didn't release the army I wanted right away.
Yeah.
What army was that?
The Free Folk.
Did you think I should get it anyway, just to get kind of the rules and some terrain and all that, or no?
No, I had some other concerns early on. Before I actually got a chance to play the game and stuff, I had some concerns about the limited
what were they?
armies. Limited armies, and at that time they were saying they were in this very specific point in the timeline, and I thought that was going to be super limiting, and it kind of fudged that sense. So
Yeah.
all things early on that don't really apply anymore.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. They I was following from the beginning, and I think they made it pretty clear. This takes place right after Robert Baratheon dies, right?
Yeah, Red Wedding. That
Immediately after, because everybody's in it except him. So the idea was, if everybody's in the game except him, it must take place at this exact moment, which many will say that's where the various people vying for their claim is done there. So I get that, Xtreme. As we see now, not really the case, because I think those dragons are a little bigger than this big right now. Well, they actually are this. They're this big,
Right.
but they're not this big. Like they're this big on the table, but they're like that big in real life. So straight away from that a bit.
It's so weird that they were setting it as a historical game for fake history.
Well, I mean, it's not weird to do that.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings kind of did that, I guess.
Star Wars Legion, but they fudged that too.
Yeah.
So the correct answer is, who gives a fuck? Okay, because you're supposed to not get caught up in that.
The Grognard would, though.
You know what? The Grognard shouldn't be playing this game.
No.
You know what I mean? Like this isn't for them. This is for the casual and the disgruntled 40K player or fan for
Fantasy. Yeah.
You shouldn't get caught up in that would be the idea, because then you got to look at it as in I think we covered it in maybe Imperial Assault episode, but there's a little fudging of the timelines, you know, in the Star Wars games. Well, it's the same era, good enough for everybody, not just good enough for me. That's good enough for everybody. It's either this one or 30 years after that one, or, you know, this game, it's roughly the same time. It's probably covers 5 years in book/show time, but, you know, it's fine for what that is. Xtreme, you got over that then, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that they were adding more armies and it was expanding, and they started, you know, talking about releases coming out that were getting away from being that very specific point in the timeline, then I was like, all right, this is the way it should be. Just give everybody everything they want, so that way you get more people into the game, and you know, we don't need to be historically accurate in the universe.
And that's the answer. Everyone should get the stuff they want. That is the right answer, because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to sell as many models, and less people will want to play the game. I like this faction, but I don't have the stuff I want. And that goes with any, in my opinion, any of these games with an existing property of, well, we're doing this, but you can't have this, and this. Like, well, why the fuck are we doing it then? You want the stuff. Biran, why didn't you back this one? Because I know we were all playing battle games at the time. Should have been right up your alley.
I think it was, I don't dig on rank and flank games very much. And Kings of War came the closest to one that I actually liked. And I'm like, I don't need 2 of these games.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you know, Kings of War got popular before this Kickstarter and became the answer for a lot of people.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, Mike, you backed it or didn't?
No, I didn't.
Same deal with you, Kings of War.
That and it was expensive. It took up a lot of space, and I didn't know if we were going to be playing it or not. So I'm just like, if we end up playing it, I'll buy it and I'll support my local store. If not, then okay.
Look at you being practical and wise.
Well, you know, that was when I was like, I'm done with big Kickstarters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like that's kind of the same for me too. It's like after Warpath, the Kickstarter that never got released.
Yeah.
Anything in the $200 range, I was like, no.
I'm done with big Kickstarters.
Yeah.
Judgment.
Yep.
Judgment.
Well, Mike.
Yeah, me.
Mike's relapsed.
And Ryan.
Yeah. Well, Ryan never lost it.
Don't drag Ryan into your personal hell, Mike. I will say you try to, you have a good rationale. If people play it, then I'll buy it from my store. Perfect. That's a great way to do it. This one, I believe, when I backed it, I didn't get the stuff till after I moved. Yeah, because they delivered it to my old house. I remember now. Tried to change it, and that's another Kickstarter burn that happens if you do move. Yep, we got the address. Okay. I hope you do.
Do you?
Yeah, they didn't. I got it, played it immediately, and liked it immediately. Ryan, when you got your stuff, did you get a chance to play right away?
It was I think it was pretty soon after, because I think we got it. Didn't they deliver it like shortly before the Adepticon that year that they were giving them out?
Yeah, that was
Or
the
am I
other thing. It's
imagining
like
it?
if you waited, you get it for free to Adepticon.
No. So,
Yeah, that was nice.
so it shipped in June 2018 because that's when I moved.
Okay.
They gave it away at Adepticon 2019.
Then I don't think I did get to play right away.
Okay.
But I don't remember. I remember that we had talked about it, and
Yeah.
you had backed it, and then I backed it, and then you moved. And then I didn't have anyone left to play with. And then I think I wrote Jameson in, which isn't hard.
No.
And then he moved.
Then he moved eventually, yes.
Do you ever think maybe it's you?
Yeah, you know what? I think that all the time. Why is everyone leaving? It must be me.
I believe that first time I played it was at that Adepticon they gave it out because they also had the Free Folk
Mhm.
at Adepticon for purchase.
Yeah, Ryan, that's why you're a fat beater, because you actually say, maybe it's me. A true bald fuck would say, no, it's never me. It's always them.
My default, whenever something goes wrong in my life, I always assume it's my fault first, and then I work backwards from there.
Okay. Wow.
So I assume that I made a mistake, and then if I didn't make a mistake, then I figure out, what I need to do. I always assume it's my fault.
It's like a reverse flow chart of, like we already know there's a mistake, and I'm going to go with me. Let's follow the clues and see what happens here.
Yeah, I never want to be that guy who gets like really belligerent about something going wrong and then finding out that it's my fault. Like I've been on the receiving end of so many of those emails from other people.
Yeah.
And so I just, naturally, and that's also my personality.
So you're quick to take the blame, but not quick to take the credit, is what you're saying.
I don't take credit for anything.
So if this episode becomes one of our least viewed, we know you're the variable in this.
It will be my fault. I will shoulder that responsibility.
You know what the bald fuck would say? Well, the game sucks. Not my fault. We're talking about a shitty game, he'd say, or a game that's not popular, or a game they're just gonna die off. They're not gonna support it. I like that. It's a good attitude to have. I played it right away when I got it, and right off the bat, whoa, Mountain That Rides, he's pretty fucking good. Like first game, I learned that one. I dug it right away, and in my first game, I already was thinking, eventually I will like this more than Kings of War. Already, like first game. Later on, that was true, but I didn't say for sure yet, because I still wanted to play a couple missions, instead of just a fight, play a few missions, try out a bunch of different unit types, and it ended up going that way for me. When you guys got into it, Mike, Xtreme, Biran, what was the reasoning to jump in? Who was getting you to play?
Well, we got the box free from Adepticon.
Oh, so you did. So I didn't get that though. Is that because I didn't get a real bag?
You had the VIG bag, yeah.
No, actually, that wasn't a VIG. That
it was just if you got a bag.
Yeah, you got a swag bag. You got that one.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, a swag. You still bought a swag bag though.
Right. You didn't get the super swag. You got the hobo swag.
Because and again, we've lost 2 Adepticons. I don't remember anything. So you have free walk around. You have ticket to get in and play stuff, and a bag, and then the all in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And nowadays the all in is lottery.
What do you mean?
So you have to, if you want the opportunity to get the all in, you put in, and there's only a limited amount of those. So,
an easy way to fix that is just double the price.
It's because people would because the way their old registration system, you'd put the VIG bag in, and other people would check out, and they would actually take yours out of your bag.
You're right. The cart system, the flaw there is, and I don't want to get too off on this, but if you're like, what event should I do on Thursday?
No, you just get that VIG. Get the VIG and get out.
Then you check out, and then you go back and.
Right. You could always go back. They email you a code. You could always go back, but that always happens. Like, all right, I'm in. Wednesday, we're gonna go. Like, get the fuck out of here. You're done. Yeah. So you guys got it for free. Would you play it at Adepticon?
I did.
Yeah, I must have then.
Okay.
Because we had it set up in there's tables outside the 30K/Horus Heresy room.
Yeah.
Where we sit there and make fun of people as they walk by. We were playing on those tables.
That's right. I remember that now.
Yeah. So what were your guys' initial impressions of the game?
If you have shaky hands, those trays are problematic.
Yeah, if you are a little shaky. Good.
My first game, I was like, this sucks because my army almost all my big units got stuck on shitty terrain and couldn't get out of it.
Okay.
That's because I'm not good at those type of games.
Well, I think there's less. If you're talking about like maneuvering and
Yeah.
fly over. I think there's less gray area than Kings of War.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Right, but
Because
I
the
just
terrain
went.
rarely does
Mm.
much.
Kings of, if I remember correctly, I haven't played Ice and Fire in a while, but isn't it you're either all in or half in? There's no, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I was all in. It was my fault.
But it like limits you by like an inch. It's not like.
So, Mike, when you played, what were you using? Probably Lannister right off the bat.
Yeah.
What
I
were you-
really liked it because it was rank and flank, but it had all those conditions and the sideboard, which I still think is the genius of the game. Is the side?
The sideboard is the most innovative part of that game.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. The you know, a lot of games use a lot of tokens and conditions and all these things. They kept it pretty simple, and I'm just going by memory, but there was 3 conditions, and all of them essentially were the same thing, just to a different characteristic, right?
Yeah.
What they were all -1 to each of the things, or
No, you
You're
so there's what, weakened, vulnerable, and panicked,
panicked.
and you could use so you could give your opponent say,
spend it to reroll, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you give your opponent a token, and
Yeah.
then when they're taking that test, you can take it back, and you can force them to reroll 1 or all of the dice.
And it was for hitting, saving, and morale.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, so I love that. Before we get to the sidebar, I like that a lot, because that is we talked many times, especially in the Warcry episode, about this record keeping and tokens and who has what, and those games where a lot of Fantasy Flight does this, where they have all these tokens, then you have to have separate cards to tell you what all the tokens do, because the token itself isn't even enough of a reminder. Okay, I know he's got a horn with a thing on it. What does that do? And it's like, oh, it means you bleed every turn, and this game said you got 3 conditions, and they all essentially are the same. Opponent spends it of one of the 3 things to make you reroll. So that was there. I still, of course, got them confused. Like, which one's vulnerable again? Is that I still got those confused.
Oh,
but there's 3. Like, that was it, and that was a huge change when it comes to that. So the conditions were key. The sideboard you mentioned. So in this game, by the way, if anyone's watching this is not a how to play video. We don't do those, but it is a discussion video. That sideboard is your non-combat. What do they call it in the game?
Non-combat units.
Those are your people in the Game of Thrones lore and Ice and Fire lore that aren't fighting. They're sneaking around, they're telling secrets, and they're all of that. And you could, at first glance, say, when you're building your army, that guy's 4 points. I can have this whole unit for 4. Fuck that guy. No. That guy's great. Give him a chance. Give that guy a chance. You guys have found that in any normal point game, say 40 points or above, 2 is mandatory, 3 is ideal, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I found the same thing. I went in with 1 for a while because I wanted the most amount of units, and it could be okay, but it's not going to make that much of a difference. So you might as well grab what you need to grab, because a lot of the cards, and I'm getting to not command cards, your commander cards, maybe?
Tactics cards.
Those also rely on what you grab on the tactics board. Makes sense, same word, right? So if you've got Robb Stark leading your Stark army, there's probably a card you want to play that says, if you already control the one with the horse on it, it gives you this. Like, it's you want to have both. You want to have a kick-ass army and a kick-ass commander, whether they're on the board or not on the board. That's a little, not a loophole, but a way to get a spot by using, because I didn't say your commander's free in the game. So when you're building your army, it's got C next to it. You don't pay any points. So you could take a non-combat commander, and then you got 1 already. So that there's a lot of options you can do. Did you guys find when you played, you stuck with the same, not build, but same commander at least?
Initially, yes. When we was playing like 1.5 years pre-COVID, I was mostly sticking with the same commander just so I could get used to that commander.
Yeah.
And frequently the NCUs, 2 of them would always be the same. Cersei and not Tywin, Tyrion.
Okay.
Because again, so I can remember to use them and how to use them.
You
And
didn't,
then
use,
mess around with
you
them
didn't use the fighting version of Tyrion?
once. It wasn't.
As a goof.
As it is a goof. It's a cool model. He's got an axe, right?
Yes, he does. He got a little, yeah.
Yeah. I think he'd want to get out there, you know, get a little roughed up. And then he falls down, they trample over him and say, battle's over, you're still alive. I think that, Ryan, what did you find when you were playing? Same
In terms of what, like keeping the same commander?
Yeah.
I was bouncing around a lot because I eventually at that same Adepticon I bought all the Night's Watch stuff, and so I was bouncing around for a while, just getting the hang of everybody, and then eventually settled on I think it was the Old Bear. I think I settled on the Old Bear for my commander.
I think when did people start saying Night's Watch were OP?
In the last month.
Oh, that's a recent thing?
Yeah. They made some changes, and there are seems like there are some gross interactions between Othel, one of the commanders, and the War Machines.
I don't like when you start to get sucked into that kind of negativity, because now you've already decided, well, this is a very competitive game. And you've already decided that if someone shows up with that army, you're going to rip on them. If you lose them, you're going to say, I hate that shit in every one of these games, which is another reason why I'm very picky about who I play with, because I just bought a Night's Watch army and I was like, wait a minute. So now already it's going to be, yeah, there shouldn't be allowed in tournaments. Get the fuck out of here. And also fuck your tournament at the same time. Fuck it as well, and yourself, because I'm playing for fun. Now someone might say, well, you might be, but if you were against the OP army, you wouldn't have any fun. Nah, I still would. I think I still would. Ryan, do you think, is that going to be an issue with you in your game? Because that's your main, I know you got Greyjoy as well, right?
Yeah, so I'm playing Greyjoys right now until they release the card packs, or the updated cards, because I'm too lazy to print them.
Yeah.
And the Greyjoys are the army that I was waiting for. Like Brian was waiting for Free Folk, I was waiting for Greyjoys, and just had to wait a couple of years more. So I'll stick with the Greyjoys for now, but that doesn't bother me. I never really liked playing the War Machines anyway.
Who cares? Yeah, right. I didn't even have any in mind. So
with what you were talking about there, that is one of the negatives for me on a personal level, is that everyone locally that I went to play with was very competitive. They were all like the competitive Warhammer Fantasy players that found a new home with this game. So when I was just trying to go and have a fun game, they were all like hardcore geared up for their next tournament.
Now, Xtreme, did you think maybe if I can like pretend sell them Kings of War, they'll get away from me? Like, no, guys, we're the same. We win at all costs, dude. Here's the game you got to play. And then get them to play it, and you say, hey, is there one dork left? You and me.
I don't know if I have that ability of persuasion.
They would have saw that you were fake, probably.
Yeah.
You're like, you're the guy who said Mantic's stupid. You said, I said that, but then a couple of years before on the old Zlurpcast, I said they were great. So choose your Mantic timeline, everybody. That is kind of the game has no presence at my store here in Colorado Springs, so I have nothing to base that on. Any grognard action you guys notice with this game?
Oh, yeah.
Besides you, I mean.
Yeah, whenever the new units come out, they sell out pretty quickly.
Are they playing there though?
Well, I don't think I've ever. I have seen a couple people.
That's what
Yeah.
so Xtreme got turned off because of the competitive guys. You are still seeing, no, it's all 40K here still.
For the most part.
40K
Well,
Sigmar.
We're usually there on specific days, so it's specific people all the time we're seeing, like
Yeah.
business casual Jesus and his tub of terrain. And
Do you think those guys, like you say, we want to go on the day without the assholes? Do you think they say the same thing and don't go on your day?
probably.
Hopefully.
That's definitely possible.
Well, it's also at a weird spot now because a couple more tables have opened up for open play, but it's not like it used to be where there were, like a dozen tables.
When you say open play, do you mean games that aren't for that assigned night? Or,
No, I mean people actually playing in the store.
Yeah.
Oh, just table. Because
Right,
my
yeah.
store has a thing where if you bring a game to play on a night that's
It's
already for another game, you might not get a table.
The only time that comes into play is usually on Fridays for Magic.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
even before the shutdown and everything, you still had to find out if there was an available space. Like if there was a launch event for Magic, don't bother going on Friday.
Or Saturday.
Yeah.
Xtreme, you were going to say something earlier. We were talking about the competitive scene.
One of the main store here that plays the game, they have a pretty big crowd that plays it. I'd say there's 20 plus people on their
Wow.
night for it. In their tournaments, they'll have 40 people show up for a tournament.
That's
So there's a few people playing here, but they're all taking it very seriously, and that's not what I was looking for.
Do you ever see a painted army played?
Rarely.
Yeah. I mean, they're
If they
colored
wanted
plastic for a
people to
reason.
paint them. Yeah, if they wanted people to paint them, the plastic wouldn't be colored.
who's they?
The
Cool
man.
mini.
You mean CMON?
Sure.
Or come on.
Come on, paint your shit.
Paint your minis.
I will tell you, Xtreme, Biran just gave you a great idea. You start up an Ice of Fire League painted required.
Keep out the riffraff.
They're
Kill
done.
out all of it.
You every night by yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike, I mean, no spoilers. He will be by himself. Yes.
Like that
I want
painted
it-
War
I want-
Machine League.
It's the thrill of the chase is what I'm looking for here.
You're looking to buy his painted army when he gives up.
I wouldn't mind if I didn't buy a painted one myself. I'd be all over that. That ploy to basically get him to paint one indirectly. No, I will tell you this. So let's talk about painting armies. Xtreme got me, because he said, I'm getting into the game, free folk. And I already moved. I said, me and you at Adepticon.
Yeah,
We
I
got
remember
to
this.
Play painted. So I decided to double down on my Stark, and I got, I don't know, probably 200 points worth. And then realized, all right, 50 points, I'll make this my core. And I started painting them. And it is monotonous as fuck to paint all those. But I mean, they go quick. I mean, if you use, washes and whatever, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, the great thing about these kind of models, they're all dark and drab anyway. So it's not, we're not talking about Age of Sigmar stuff.
With like 50 different things like
Yeah.
around their neck and
So,
stuff.
like, are you the gray and black one or the green and black one or the red and black? But it's still a lot of models.
And they're all in the same pose and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, very similar poses and all that. But I started on. I got pretty far, more than I thought I would on that. Xtreme then said he couldn't make the trip on that one, and I sort of stopped painting, and I blame that on you, Xtreme.
I remember you being kind of relieved that he,
No,
yeah.
That was the tone I got for sure. Like, are you going to make it?
I don't remember that at all. I remember. Yeah, let me think back now. One moment, please. Well, I did not finish complete one full unit, but I did get. I was focused on the Stark Sworn Swords, not Sorn Swords.
Yeah.
Sworn Swords, because I mean, maybe it was cheesy, I don't know, but I found that the base dudes were like my favorite to use, better than anything fancy. I think I actually had 6 units of them, and I said, well, if I focus on those, they're a full-on assembly line. And it was kind of a pain in the ass because but I started with what's the Mechanicus Gray spray? Where it's
Mechanicus Standard Gray.
Yeah.
The problem, it works good for that. It doesn't work good for GW models because GW models base plastic is the exact same color. But
Yeah.
Song of Ice and Fire is not.
So I actually think when I sprayed them, I thought it was real gray, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But and maybe Ryan knows that, but I think the one I used almost was like a green gray. Does that sound familiar? That
It's not Mechanica Standard Gray then.
No, I don't know.
So I started it, and at first I was like, oh, it's not what I wanted, but then eventually, or almost maybe bluish gray. But I realized like, well, I'm gonna have to be okay with it because you know the spray has left the nozzle. Like I'm not stripping these, so I'm not. And I also, those go on kind of thick, so I was like, it is what it is. But I knew it was gonna be a bunch of silver and whatnot over it. Extreme, you decided to focus on just the straight 40 points and get that done, right?
I don't remember at the time. I don't think so, because I think I was painting everything as like a big batch, like doing everything batch painted
Okay.
to get everything that had painted. But at the time that we were doing that, it was shortly after the Free Folk release, so there wasn't a whole lot to choose from.
Yeah, you probably had a couple of units in the Giants, right?
Yeah, and whatever was in the starter.
Yeah.
Then a couple additional, the Spear Wives, I think, and some other stuff.
The Fitch one, the Spearwives were the newest unit that they had just come out with.
Extreme, you once said you wanted to actually build the wall. What happened with that?
I didn't say I wanted to build it. I said it would be cool if we had a
I
wall.
think you said you were working on it. You went, like, you grabbed all the styrofoam from all your neighbors on Lois Lane, and you said, I'm going to build the biggest styrofoam wall you have ever seen. And then nothing.
I don't know. Maybe I looked at the giant Blood Bowl stadium that I have in a tote in my attic now and thought, hey, maybe I don't need a wall.
You moved Blood Bowl stuff with you to the new house? That's weird.
Yeah. Memories.
I just thought it was going to be on the doorstep and Mike would come and grab it and his next trip around.
Or maybe you leave it like tucked away in your old basement, and then the house becomes cursed to the new family that moves in.
Extreme, have you thought about maybe like cutting a hole in the wall, putting your old team, the 40 Miners, in there and sealing it up?
No.
Okay. Could have been a fun story for 100 years from now.
Could it? What the fuck is this shit? Actually, I heard they gutted my old house and tore all the drywall down, so they would have found it right away.
Oh, man. And they would have went to eBay and been really mad at you. He said they were custom. No, nobody wanted them. I don't know.
Pro painted.
Pro painted. All right. So as far as the state of this game for you guys right now, what is it?
It's the one I'm currently playing.
Oh, okay. Is
Yeah.
that because we're doing this episode, or is it chicken egg kind of thing?
Well, when we're talking about doing this episode, I'm like, can we wait till I play the game? Because Ryan and I were, talking about it. He goes, yeah, I'll play the game anytime. I was like, okay, well, let's make this happen. And so we played a few games.
Yeah, and all the new Baratheon stuff just came out, right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Baratheons were one that I was actually waiting on initially, and then when I saw the look of them, it wasn't really for me. But as a fluff thing, I wanted to use them. But then I realized, like, yeah, I'm a northerner anyway, so we'll stick with one of those. But
Your dusky skin.
I picture you as a sand snake.
Well, it should have. Is there Martell in the game?
No.
No. I think there will be, though. They confirmed that more factions are coming.
I would hope so.
That
Yeah.
probably would have been mine as well to fit with the Grecian formula, if you will.
The Persian formula?
Maybe Persian, yeah. I mean,
Some Turk in there for fun.
I was on a plane recently, guys. So, I mean, for some reason, I didn't get flagged. Oh, I take it back. I did get flagged. I got fucking pulled aside.
Beard.
Pants.
Without the beard, you could get away with it, but
Yeah. My current boss called me a friendly terrorist, so whatever. Fine. I'll be like, well, I haven't planted the bomb yet. So, as far, Mike, so you are playing it now, or did you play it to do this episode?
No, we're still playing it. We're playing
Okay.
this weekend.
Ooh, okay. I want the proof of that. Pictures.
All right.
Percent painted. What's yours?
0.
Cool. Ryan?
I don't know why you even asked me that question. I'm a little embarrassed that you did.
You're playing a miniatures game by CMON, and it's like, come on. Okay.
They're not the
fact
boss
that
of
Mike's
me.
not going to paint his gives everyone in the world a pass. Not
Yeah.
to.
That was the deal I made with myself is I don't have time to paint another rank and flank. I will never paint these minis.
You got halflings to paint.
I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you right now, Mike, you said never, and I'm going to say you shouldn't have said that. Because if the crew starts playing it and they start painting, you will.
It's a safe bet
They
that's
won't.
not going to happen.
Yeah. If
But
they
it's
start
okay.
painting it, that's when the aliens have come and are
Yeah.
replacing.
The seven seals and
Hoagie
crack.
might. If Hoagie takes a shine to it, he might. He likes painting.
Okay. So does Mike, I heard.
Yeah, but I got to cut my losses. So
When the aliens come, Mike, do you think they prefer to buy it unpainted anyway? Or steal it unpainted, rather?
No one wants your ultramarine painted Stark army.
They don't want it. So that's Mike. Ryan, Biran, where are you in this? Are you done with this? You're out?
I'm done.
Okay. What can I ask? Why, or just no interest?
I have to say that the final two seasons of the TV show soured me on anything even remotely tangentially related to this property. And I know that's not fair. This is more
Well,
based on the books and so
Let
forth.
me ask you, because you also are a Star Wars hater now too, but you still play
Yes.
Legion. What happened there?
I think the Star Wars Legion game is more up my alley because it is just a big skirmish game. So I think that overcomes my hatred of Star Wars.
Okay, fair enough.
But rank and flank is not really my thing so much. And if I was going to play one, I'd play Kings of War.
Yeah,
But I wish if Kings of War came out with a new edition that had a sideboard like mechanic, I think that might make me want to play Kings of War because I really, really admire that mechanic.
it is pretty cool. I think that a lot of people that like Kings of War like to say the thing of my models aren't wound markers or whatever, right? But that was a thing when we played Kings of War, and we all took to that line and had our little,
Dials, yeah.
people. But then once I played Ice and Fire, I'm like, yeah, who gives a shit? Like, what a dumb, just a goofy stance to take, So I'm pulling my models off. Well, there's a mechanic in the game that when you ditch a whole rank, you get weaker. When you have one there, you're still so. They fit it in there just fine. Do I like the look of an empty flat thing? No. Who does? But whatever. There's actually a guy on Etsy selling stickers, by the way. He made stickers for all the armies to put, not stickers, like maybe coin. No, they are stickers because you put them in the thing and your guy goes on top of it. He made stickers to put in there so that way when they die, it actually looks like their dead bodies on the base.
Otherwise, there's tokens in Relic Blade of like dead dudes.
Yeah, same kind of thing. So I got over that real quick. That didn't bother me at all. The whole, I got to pull my models off. Like,
Yeah, Kings of War is cool. Like when you see a really cool diorama base like that, but then you also see Hobby Lobby dinosaurs.
yeah.
So
See,
that kind
and
of
also, what I found is I'm not really great with like the whole doing the magnets and all that stuff. It's Kings of War stuff's impossible to transport. I've thrown it in tubs, and then I've had like fingers and shit break off of skeletons and zombies because it's not secure. Now, I didn't care about a lot of it, but it is dumb when all your armies are fucking nubs now. So that happened. So I kind of like going back to a game where I'm going to store models like I always do in a bunch of foam, and I'm okay with that. And I'll put the trays somewhere else.
I just keep mine in the box.
What box?
they have the trays and everything.
Oh, the
Yeah,
box.
the box it comes in.
Then you got a lot of boxes to bring with you too.
Yeah, that's the one drawback, but I know
Well,
where they go.
Yeah, you're right, and you know where they go. Yeah, nothing wrong
Better
with
than
that.
$300 of a battle foam.
And the CMON bags, the boxes fit right in it. It's perfect size. So.
That is true. Yeah, I wait till General Baggy has a nice sale. Big fan of General Baggy. That's Romeo.
The guy that's on the front page.
Yeah, that's Romeo. That's his like character, I think. That's him. So Mike and Ryan are playing it Xtreme. You went all in, like we talked about. You had your free folk, and then What's your status now with the game?
Completely out. I sold my army. It was, I would say, 70% painted. And yeah, I didn't have any prospects of really playing around here, so I got rid.
Yeah, you're also you're not. When Biran was talking about not liking rank and flank, we all have. You know, as we saw in our stats, we looked at in episode 50. You know, people have certain game types or styles that we prefer over others. Xtreme, you've never been a big battle guy anyway, right?
No, I've always liked the look of the big battle games on the table, but I've never been one for actual playing.
Usually find it's more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah, it's just more stuff to keep track of than I like to do myself.
Yeah. I usually like battle games the most. I just find that just the look of it just is always like, yes, I'm doing war games. It makes me feel like it's, you know, and it also I think when you're not doing well in that game and models are dying, it never hurts that bad. Whereas a skirmish game, every model always seems like it's the worst thing ever. Like as far as, oh my God, like that guy's only job was to hold the fucking quiver with the arrows, so he's not even anything. I know, but not only have 5 on the table. Yeah, that happens for me in skirmish games where, and in battle games, like, oh, okay, I got another land raider, we're good. You know, it happens. So I kind of went to that. But to Biran's point, the rank and flank was never my ideal thing. I actually prefer models. That's why I liked Age of Sigmar when we all tried that, when we weren't thinking we were going to get into it. I kind of like moving blobs of dudes. This one, I think, it gives people that fix. You know, the people that played Warhammer Fantasy, they're looking for something to play like it. They either went to Kings of War, this, still Warhammer Fantasy, right? Ninth Age, if you will. I think there was another game that did trays. Was there one you guys remember? Like another
Rune Wars, kinda.
Rune Wars, is that even around anymore? Or is that done?
That's done.
Yeah.
Conquest.
Rune Wars was Fantasy Flight's game, right? Yeah.
The miniatures looked really cool, but it was their first foray into unpainted, I think, wasn't it?
Unpainted? What do you mean?
An unpainted miniatures game.
And they
Is
were
there-
soft rubber too. So
Yeah.
They did. They were the first publisher for Dust.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And Dust,
So-
you could buy pre-paints. They were just expensive as hell.
Were they just pre-primed or were they painted?
They were
They all came
pre-primed,
pre-
but they
yeah.
had a premium line that were pre-painted and painted really well, not like WizKids paint
They
job.
didn't look like Hero Clicks.
Right.
First edition, right.
Right, they looked really good.
In this game, when you see people playing it as in like Xtreme's experience, the competitive, those kind of players, it's kind of a turn off for a lot of it, but to some, that's what they're looking for. Is this a game that you guys think is going to stay in the rotation, or is it because, one, it's a battle game, which I know sometimes it's easy to push those aside in favor of, a new skirmish game or board game? Or do you think it's going to stick around? Or what do you guys think for you?
I hope it sticks around.
I will always play it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mike and I are we're a team. We're an Ice and Fire team.
Yeah. So Ryan, don't scare this one away, will you?
Mike can move to
Yeah.
And we're trying to rope some other people in too, as well. So Hoagie's coming to play this weekend with us to check it out. Janelle and Alan have stuff, but we haven't seen them in over a year.
Did you drive them away, Ryan?
I guess it's possible. I wouldn't discount that.
I mean, it's possible they got COVID from you. What do you mean?
No, it's possible that they just didn't want to be around me.
Oh,
I don't blame anyone for not wanting to be around me.
I was gonna say maybe they use the pandemic as the excuse. Ryan, we love playing with you, but the thing.
That's possible.
It's a nice out for them. I could see that. This game, we all seem to, except for Biran, 4 of the 5 of us, have some positive ideas about the game. Do you want to kind of go around and do some pros and cons about it, what we really like about it? Ryan, why don't you kick it off? We'll go clock. Well, I don't know what your screen is. Biran, what's the Ryan screen look like?
He's in the lower right corner. So clockwise will go Ryan, you, Xtreme, me, Mike.
Okay, let's do some pros and we'll do cons afterwards.
Do you want me to just like unload a whole bunch of pros, or?
I mean,
'Cause I like a lot about this game.
do you have dozens?
No, not dozens.
Top three. How about top three?
Do you have do you have a baker's dozen?
No,
Yeah.
not that many either.
You have half a dozen?
I might have half a dozen. Anyway, so you and I were talking a few weeks ago when you were in town, and I said that this is my favorite non-skirmish rule set.
Yeah, I think you even used the word my favorite battle game, which same thing, but yeah.
It is my favorite non-skirmish game. Like,
Oh, so that's even more encompassing, because now we're
Yes.
talking about board games too.
well, I don't play a whole lot of board games
But okay,
anymore.
sorry, board games with miniatures, which you do play.
Um,
Am I? Do you know what
I
I'm
would
talking
say
about?
yes. Right now, I'm going to say yes. It is my favorite non-skirmish game.
Because you like Bloodborne, that's that category for me.
Yes, that is a really good game. That was also designed by the same guys who did Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh, is it
Eric Lang and Michael something.
Chinall?
Yeah, I think that's his name. Yeah. So
Well, I didn't know.
when you were talking about backing this game on Kickstarter, I was, because I don't really care. I don't have an affinity for rank and flank games. And I was thinking I need another rank and flank, like a hole in the head. But then I saw so that Michael Chinall or whatever also designed Wrath of Kings, which is a game I really, really, really liked. So that got my attention.
We hung
What's
out at the con. Weren't you playing that with Jameson?
Jameson and I have played it. I don't
Okay.
remember if we played it at Adepticon, but it's possible that you saw us playing it.
Oh, that might have been Rune Wars. Maybe you tried that one.
You did see us playing Rune Wars at Adepticon.
Yeah, Wrath of Kings.
But when I saw that they were doing it, I was like, all right, I'm in.
Okay.
So the things that I really like, the things that really make the game sing are the non-combat units on that sideboard, the tactics decks, and the like the orders and abilities on the units. And then when you combine that with the alternating activations and how different cards and different orders and basically every like extra thing in the game that isn't like rolling dice at somebody, all of that stuff, or almost all that stuff, keys off of either at the start of a turn or a specific action being taken or having a specific zone on the board. And so the way that kind of meshes together with the alternating activations, because you're constantly going back and forth. So you constantly have opportunities to set up these kind of combos.
Mhm.
And it keeps the game moving at a nice clip. And I really, really like that. Just the way everything sort of pulls together. And I like the, like this, how streamlined it is. Like you only have like 4 actions that you can do.
Yeah.
And I like that it's not fussy with the bookkeeping, which is what we were saying, or you guys were saying. And we were talking about how just having a different commander, you and I, JP, were talking about how just having a different commander can completely change how your faction plays.
Yeah.
Which I learned last week when I tried a different commander and I could not wrap my head around it at all. And it didn't go very well for me.
Yeah. Great point. I know when I was playing with Stark, I found it way easier to use. I actually, when I tried using Ned, he brings back units and like wounds and whatnot, but I always had a hard time doing it. I don't know what it was. I just found it way easier to play, I think, with Rob Stark, and then you get a dire wolf for free, which is always nice too. So, but I don't know if it's getting attached to one or just a play style, but they make the armies play completely differently.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's, I mean, I will tell you, I don't give a shit about tournaments, but you know how boring it is in a tournament when you have same against same. Well, at least you have a chance at different commanders. You know.
Yeah, I like that the commanders and then the attachments and the NCUs accommodate a lot of different or multiple play styles per faction, and they're all unique. I think that's awesome. The commander thing being, you know, changing the field totally reminds me of War Machine, because that's the case of War Machine. And I was thinking about it more. And the other thing that actually reminds me of War Machine is that, so you have your units of dudes, right? And everything is done by rank. So as soon as you lose a rank, you know, you go to the next amount of dice on the how many dice you get to roll for your attacks. And that totally reminds me of like a Warjack damage grid, where you count off damage until you get to the head, and all of a sudden, or the arm, and your arm doesn't work anymore, or whatever it was. I don't remember how any of that stuff actually works. Or you can't run, or whatever it is. Your legs, you can't run anymore. So I think that's also pretty cool. So I like that dice mechanic a lot. And I also just appreciate that most non-skirmish games, like, and this happened when we were playing Age of Sigmar a month or two back, where like once you get stuck in and it's just dudes fighting dudes, all you're doing is rolling dice back and forth. And that is awful. And I like Ice and Fire. The thing I appreciate most about it is between the abilities, the cards, and that sideboard, you always have decisions to make and opportunities to do cool stuff, even if you're just stuck in fighting dudes. And that's probably my favorite part of it.
Am I next, Biran?
Yep.
Okay, so obviously, as we always do, everything Ryan said, and the rules of improv, yes, and there's some cool stuff that I think that they, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but like the little things. So if you take cavalry in the game, it's 4 models on a tray. And in other games like Kings of War, you might not ever have a chance against a gigantic fucking horde of cavalry. I think they almost made it in a way where not one unit is just going to roll over everyone. If it is very powerful, well, then there's less of them. And they make it so, you know, I think they want you maneuvering. They don't want you to get stuck in, like you said, Ryan. They have these things in the game about with the terrain, and sometimes they do different things. And then objectives are you flip over the card. I think right there was different things for the cards, the little cards. And so I like that they, in a weird way, kind of took what people think is a battle game, but they really wanted you to always feel like you're a part of it. And there's times where, sure, it feels like it's not going your way. But whatever scenario you're playing, wherever the objectives are, wherever the terrain is, you still might feel like you have a chance at times. Of course, the NCUs and the tactic board obviously are a big part of that as well. And, you know, I think that it's also what, you know, Biran mentioned, like the show, it's a cool, that's the kind of IP that I think would be a great battle game. You know, I'm playing Legion, but, you know, Star Wars is mostly non-battles. You hear about battles, you know, Clone Wars aside, but it's other stuff. This one is every season felt like there was a battle in the show, and the book had one every time. So I like that it's a battle game that fits what you expect to see them in battle. With that said, I could easily see taking these models, especially if maybe you did paint them and you like the way they look. And I looked at my Night's Watch the other day. I said, if I end up playing this Rangers of Shadow Deep game, I think I have 10 models that'll be perfect for that, instead of going back to like GW stuff. So I think that there's in our multi-use sort of category, there's an opportunity that if you want to enjoy the Game of Thrones experience on a skirmish level, I think these models and mixing stories could be kind of fun to do that, whether it's Relic Blade or Frostgrave or Rangers or any of those Kings of War, Vanguard, you know, those kind of skirmish. I think it'd be kind of cool to try these models out in that. because they got some good character. The models are way better than I expected. So I like that. And they're all single piece. So you're not going to have a lot of those other issues like the Marvel game has. So there's just a lot going for it. And it's at its core, it's a fun game. I think if you enjoy that universe and you enjoy fighting out a battle and using some cool leaders to see how they play, it's just a blast every time. I haven't had a bad or unfun game at any point in time. So who's next, Mike?
No, Xtreme.
Xtreme, before you get into it, I want you to address Ryan's War Machine analogy, because it's the first time someone spoke highly of that game. And I say spoke highly, I should say in a somewhat favorable manner. And I want to get your point/counterpoint on it.
I mean, I had never thought of the comparison before, but what he was saying makes sense. What he was talking about with the ward jacks, losing your system. So like if you lost your right arm, whatever weapon was on there, instead of rolling 2 dice, you would roll 1, or instead of 3, you roll 2. Yeah, I didn't see that comparison, but it makes sense.
Okay. Do you regret selling the army now?
No.
Okay, just checking. So what are your pros on the game?
It would be repeating a lot of what everybody else said, I think, but the non-combat units, I do think that is what sets this game apart from other games more than anything else. It's really cool having that sideboard and how it affects the game. It really was like this cool way of bringing the games, A Song of Ice and Fire universe with all the political intrigue and stuff, bringing it into the game without making it like this weird side game. Like it affects your battle, but it doesn't take you away from it. So that and the alternating activations is pretty awesome. And then the license itself, I think, just like you were saying, leads itself to battle games. And it's a cool universe that I already enjoyed. So that was a big pro.
You're right. Glad you brought that about a way to introduce all the intrigue side of it. I could have easily seen them doing a straight battle game, but if you choose to connect your games, here's a table you roll on between games that tells you what little thing you're doing. You know what I mean? Like I could see them just afterthought throwing in I forgot there's a theme. Somebody might want this. It's like, no. It's part of the game and not a throwaway part of the game either.
After the game, roll on your D66 chart here to see what happened.
Right. See what happens. It was uneventful. Damn, like every time. Yeah, I mean, everything you said there, the activations, of course, it's just, it's smooth across the board. So who's next, Biran? Mike?
I am.
My
main thing is the sideboard, and it kind of reminds me of like a spell casting or heroic phase of any other game, but the theming on it is so spot on.
Yeah. Well, what's cool is the fact that they don't make it a phase. You have to actually decide, do I forego a turn where I can fight to do a thing? And that's always been a tough decision for me, because it's like you want to grab a certain spot, but it's like, wow, man, I got a charge here. I got this. And sometimes it's a really tough decision. Quick side note to anyone who might know, are they coming out with more tactic spots, or am I misread something?
I have no idea.
Okay.
No idea.
I thought I saw with the Targaryen launch, like another thing to do. So you have the 5 that we all know, and then like another one. Like, I don't know, do you like add it on? Does everyone get that? Or is it only like a Targaryen? I don't know. I saw something like another little board with a spot for one guy on it.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay. Anything else, Biran, or can we go to Mike?
Go to Mike.
Okay.
All right. Well, obviously the sideboard and everything everyone has already said. One of the things I really liked about this game was, like, I like fantasy games because the different races do different things. And what most people don't like historicals, because historicals are just men. They're just people, and people are people. This game, with the exception of a dragon and a giant, stuff like that, it's all humans.
Mm-hmm.
But it still finds a way to make every faction play very differently, and different styles and different themes and all of that, with the tactics cards, with the different NCU abilities and things like that.
That's an outstanding point.
Yes,
And to quote Depeche Mode, people are people, by the way. You're right, though. These games, it's always frowned upon whenever it's like, oh, you're playing humans. Like everyone always shits on that in every game, all the time. Now it's like, well, I have no choice. So
Humans, nice.
yeah, humans, nice. Like mantic aberration, humans, nice. We don't. They're all humans. Like in Kings of War, if you play Kingdoms of Men, people will be like, "Oh, that's boring. What models even?" You're right, Mike. So it's still very thematic, and everything has its own flavor. So yeah, there is really no there's no human like shame, I guess, in this game.
a couple other things. All the pricing, every unit costs the same, like physical cost in the store.
Oh, real money. Yeah.
Yeah, real money.
Yeah.
All the units. It's not like, oh, this model's $150 and this, all the boxes, same price. Kind of cool.
Yeah, think about that.
I love the app.
The app is amazing.
The app is amazing. All the units, everything. Like I don't have the Greyjoy unit box, whatever, but I was playing Ryan and I finally got my app and said, let's look up what his guys do, just so I can kind of get a feel. Because I've got one NCU that blanks out his NCU special abilities. And I felt bad because I kept saying, what's this guy do? What's this one do? What's this one do? So I was able to do that kind of research.
That's the best tabletop app, I think.
I think, yeah. And it's got the army builder on it, and it tells you what's legal, what's not. You can set it for just the units that you have. And let me tell you, I do that all the time. I use that as my spreadsheet for what boxes I have, so I know what I have.
Oh, yeah, because you could put only
your collection, yeah.
Yeah, only your collection, yeah.
Yeah, that is another good one. It's leave it to Mike instead of just saying everything everybody said, agree. He has a whole list of new shit, and that app is phenomenal.
Yeah,
because you can truly plan on anything. Would GW ever have that? Fuck no. You got to get a new codex for everything. They have it all in the app, right in there. Yeah, and it works great. I think it's awesome, especially. I'm big on physical, the cards and things that come out. And I know the way things are going now because you want to be able to make ongoing changes. So rule books is a PDF, and cards, Ryan, you're waiting for the cards. You might never see cards.
They'll come eventually.
Yeah, they will.
They're just delayed.
I hope so. But
there's a paper shortage.
That's what they tell you. That's what they want you to think. I mean, it would make sense. I'm literally looking to buy more stuff. The app is free, so you can sell stuff. We buy it. So yeah, great point. I agree. The app is awesome.
And the last thing, this is a pro and a con, is they're keeping an active eye on how things are playing and making changes. Like in 2021, there's the new edition of the rulebook came out, and they've revamped a lot, or I should say almost all, of the armies and the cards.
Yeah.
And I think that's good for balance, but it's also kind of a pain in the ass just because like the new card packs aren't out yet. So what I had to do for my Baratheons, I had to print out all new tactics cards and then sleeve them inside the old ones, print out all new unit cards because some of the abilities changed. And I like having the cards in front of me and not looking at the app every time.
Right.
But I had to do a lot. It took a lot of work. I spent several hours just because the cards are all available online. I just had to cut, paste, and then use print, paint, do all that stuff and size it so it's the appropriate card size. And
yeah, it almost seems like, even if you make ongoing updates, as a gaming group, you could probably say, if let's say they came out with new cards every year, a card pack. Hey, we're using the 2021 cards because we like cards. And if someone sees them online, you can case by case. But I would like to see cards be, re-released as well because everybody would buy them. I mean, it's the game is you're playing a battle game and it's extremely affordable. So it's not like nickel and diming, like a GW. I shouldn't say that. More like not nickel and diming, but like 100 or 500. Because it's a new giant book for everything. That's hardcover. This is like, yeah, you could actually build a decent sized army for $200 probably,
Oh yeah.
That's
You could have everything you need and then some for $200.
Yeah. Yeah.
The scale is not big. I mean, you only have, what do we have, like 5 or 6 units on the board units the other day?
Well,
Yeah.
the box
Yeah. And that's a 50-point game.
Yeah. Right. It's already bigger than the normal. Normal's 40, right?
Yeah.
The box sets are always a great, the starter sets rather, are always a great value. And then you pick like, 3 or 4 of the ones you think are cool, and you throw those in, and you're set with like tons of different configurations.
And you really, they do have, obviously you need to get a hero box if it comes out, because that gives you different NCUs and commanders. The attachment boxes are nice, but you have the rules for them, and you can just say, oh, this unit has the unit commander or whatever, and you got those abilities. So you don't really need it. And especially where models aren't painted, I'll never know if it's there or not anyway. So,
but it's a pride thing, Mike. We're not hobos.
It is.
We're not hobos.
I'm going to throw one more out there. All the neutral units you can take too.
Yeah.
You have the entire Bolden army. The whole army is neutral or you can play them as is, but you could also on a, individual unit by unit basis, they will align to your faction there for you, as well as all of the neutral non-combat units out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if people, I'm sure tournaments don't give a fuck, but I think like we would do like almost, hey, are you taking so-and-so? Like almost a draft of some sort. Because, because then it's like, at least you have, because you could have the same choice for neutral characters.
Or you could do the Highlander thing and, you 2 Peter Baelishes. Nope, they disappear.
Well, or I was just going to cut the head off of one of them. I thought that was the Highlander thing. Or just take Christopher Lambert with you to your game. Have him seated next to you, holding your bowl of kimchi at our tables. Let's go around the horn. Any cons on this game? Ryan, kick it off.
I would agree with Brian about the and it's not necessarily a con, but it's not my taste. Like, people are very competitive, and when you go online to look for information about it, it is at least at the moment, it's not pretty, and it's definitely a bummer to see people getting super. It's okay that you take it seriously, but when you have on a Facebook post like 100 some replies arguing about something, it's just like it's kind of lame and just discouraging. I don't really have any real cons. There's there's corner case situations that might come up where it's not super clear like how you should handle an interaction, but those don't seem to happen very often. So and I don't think I have any real cons other than just the players, the people that play the game. But that's my con for every game. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like this planet, the fucking humans though. Every time.
People are people.
Who even wants to play people? People are people. Yeah, it's discouraging. I think the right approach is just laugh everything off, because you're never going to be happy with the arguments, because every army gets invalidated by some asshole online. So why even try? Like, what?
And it doesn't even really affect us because we're not playing with those people.
I don't care, but it just sucks to see. Like, the reason why I get down on that stuff is when someone new wants to get in the game, they go to like a few different things. They'll Google stuff, whatever, but they always go to Facebook because then there's a group for everything. And I hate when new players, like that person getting into the game could be cool. Like, and what if they were down the street from me? Like this could be a potential game mate, if you will. And
probably not though.
Probably not, but they might be. They're going to get ruined. They're going to learn the real world in 5 minutes online. And that sucks, So I don't have a ton. I think the release schedule has been a little wacky with this game. That I don't know if that's a COVID thing or whatever, but it just seemed kind of strange. Like and I don't mind waiting for full factions. A lot of people always say, "Well, give us all the factions, then just fill it on the gaps later." Like, you can't really do that. You actually have to have big releases, and it helps for many reasons because now it's, guess what? You were in the game from the get-go. You're going to have 3 armies at least, because at every interval you're like, oh well, I don't need that one, but I'm going to get the next one, and it's all new stuff. And it's not like codex creep. It's just it's new. I also thought they were cool. So releasing factions later is a way to encourage people to buy more than one faction. It just seemed kind of strange. Like I would look at like the dates when these supposed to come out, then they would go dark. You wouldn't hear anything for a while, but it also could have been the weird year. So it's hard to, I watched a lot of those things online, those like preview, it's like showcases and whatever. And which is fine. I mean, I guess Marvel Crisis Protocol is going through the same thing. It's like, wait, I saw that picture of that guy a year ago, still not out yet. So it's probably just kind of a sign of the times. Outside of that, I mean, it's still a battle game, so you still have to have a space for that and that kind of thing. I do think that it is, even though it's a game that a normie could get into because it's a recognizable IP, it's still a battle game. And even though it's not complicated by any means, there is still a barrier of entry due to that, just like Star Wars Legion has to. It's not a big con, but it's always a lot easier to get somebody into a smaller kind of game than, because right off the bat they probably think they got to spend a lot of money or just a lot of collecting. But those aren't even, like Ryan said, those aren't real cons. They're kind of nitpicky things. It's I don't really have like real big cons. So maybe you guys do. Xtreme.
I have like 2 categories of cons. The first category being they were cons for me initially in the game, but as releases came out, they changed and are no longer cons, which we talked about why I didn't back the first Kickstarter when they were talking about the limited timeline and the limited number of armies, but all that stuff's gone now, so it's not really a con anymore. So I unfucked myself with those cons. But the cons that I still have are the competitive nature of the game and the stuff you see online. And I think what Mike was mentioning, where having an app-based game or rule set like that, you can make those changes and they're constantly aware of what's going on, making those changes. I think that always lends itself to being in a more competitive environment. You don't have to play it that way, but it leads the game that way. And if most of the community is playing that way, it's hard unless you have a cool group already, it's hard to go out and find players that want to play more casually.
Isn't that weird that if a game company listens to its players and makes adjustments, it actually feeds the beast even more?
Yeah, that I didn't think of it that way, because that doesn't affect us. Like, I think of it like, oh, it's great that they're paying attention and caring about this stuff and they're treating it with care. But that's just because it's Mike and myself for the most part playing, and we don't have to go out into the wilds to find strangers to play with.
So those people you read about online, that's beyond the wall.
Yes.
That's who we find out there. There is one positive though with that. You might see a whole army painted on eBay you can snatch up because the meta changed in their neighborhood.
But everything Mike was saying about the app and then with the rules adjustments and everything just reminded me so much of War Machine, because everything that's in this app, the War Machine app does all those things too. And they have their rules where they're constantly going through and, rebalancing and adjusting things as you go to make that game competitive. And that's where that game took off to. And I think the designers for that game didn't want that necessarily and tried to dial it back, but it was just too late. It had already run off into a competitive thing.
And both games has people who don't paint their models too.
Yeah.
Look at that. Weird.
And in both games where people use flat terrain, except for in War Machine, it's pieces of felt cut into circles.
I use 3D terrain.
For War Machine?
No, you said both games.
Oh, but we don't use 3D terrain for a rank and fight game.
You don't?
I mean, you obviously can, and you probably have the Kickstarter stuff, but it lends itself to wobbly model syndrome.
Comes with the cardboard cutouts of the difficult terrain and
I
stuff.
don't want that. I want that piece of terrain with all the dead horses on it.
You want to put your base on and have things topple over and
I mean, unless you got full spaz hands, I don't think it's that bad.
I got spaz hands.
You do. I mean, if you're playing with a forest, you obviously are removing the trees. That goes without saying. So that's all. So you can play with the flats. It's a little hobo for my taste, though.
But they're colored. They're full color. I don't have to paint it. I caught myself. I apologize.
No, he said they're colored, and he said they're full colored. That's actually worse.
No,
colored,
there's no ed at the end of full color.
Oh, full color.
Yes.
British. Maybe.
Full color, yeah.
In the catalog.
So that's the most colorful thing on our game board is the flat terrain that we play on.
Yeah, because the armies are all dark.
And you're playing on the roads and stuff from the Drop Zone Commander Matt, so it looks really weird.
Yes.
Is that where you played?
No, not this time. Though we almost played Sigmar on there.
Yeah.
And then you guys moved it. I was too lazy to move. I'd already sat down.
That was I believe Mike has the book Cities of Sigmar.
Yes.
It's a
Or
variant.
like at whatchamacallit, Dan's Sedan store. In Batavia.
Draxar.
Draxar, where you'd see people playing 40K on the space mat.
Yeah. I mean, I would do it, but everybody's going to add D6 movement because of the low gravity.
Yep.
I mean,
but then you also have to move the whole
Keep
distance
going. You
because
never
of it.
stop and you go off.
Yeah. Because
Oh,
of
yeah.
inertia.
well, why even play on a table then? Shouldn't we just like move the mat whilst playing?
Yes.
Your go. We hit the door. Well, keep going.
There's just something great about a space field with a giant aquarium tree in the middle of it.
Yeah. Xtreme, I think we're still on you. So just so I can clarify, you were talking about all these connections to War Machine, but we're in the con segment. You want to clarify that?
No, I mean, those were all, I mean, it was really just one big con wrapped up with more details, and that it was the competitive nature of the game. And that was a big con that I did have.
That's why I quit War Machine, was because it was too competitive.
And yeah, and with War Machine 2, it got to a point where I didn't like the person I had become because I had to play that way. So then when I was playing someone really cool that got into the game, I was like, this sucks. Like, I'm not having fun. You're not having fun because I'm just stomping you with the ground because that's the way that I've been conditioned to play this game.
Would you say that's a Blood Bowl syndrome?
Yes.
I would.
That's just how you play.
But
I don't think so.
and the reason why, and I'm only bringing this up, it's not to just make it's I think it's actually a valid thing, especially with 3 of the 5 of us and our long love-hate Blood Bowl relationship. You have a way of playing that game in order to help you win that other players at that level respect, but new players despise you for it. And I think when you're playing a game, any tabletop game, your play style should be fun for any level, both beginners and competitive. But in Blood Bowl, the easy out was, well, you run the clock out in football, or you start to use real world analogies. Because when you play a battle game, I always think about an Adepticon. I played a 40K tournament, and I was giving the guy shit because he was hiding his demon prince behind this mountain. Bring him out, dude. Let's fucking fight. He goes, no, he's worth too many points. I'm like, so if we're in battle, your guy's like, oh, guys, you go ahead. I'm too many points. I'm too many points, I said.
Points!
Blood Bowl, you get away with it because the fluff is a game.
But
So
that's not true because I've played Mike when he was teaching me the game and he didn't pull that shit. It was only Josh Aldis Dark X-Wing Snow who did that to me.
Yeah, also a Laser Wolf.
Yeah,
Wolfie,
Laser Wolf.
with a E, little Wolfie in there. Yeah, so Xtreme, I think that you said you don't like the person or the player you became while playing that because you had to assimilate to that style. But I don't think that's the first or last game that could happen. Now you could fight it, but it's easy to fall into it.
I don't know. I don't agree that Blood Bowl is in this category necessarily.
I don't think you would necessarily do what Laser Wolf did.
Hey, guess what's Xtreme? You're I don't know where your dwarf ranking is anymore at Blood Bowl, but maybe you are in the for fun group now.
I probably am because they changed the whatever.
When you were number one, you would agree. This is how we win.
No,
War Machine is a special kind of hell in terms of competitiveness. I mean, it is brutal.
Way worse than Blood Bowl Xtreme.
Oh,
I think it's probably easier to turn it off in Blood Bowl. Hey, just don't use all these extra turns just to foul because you're winning. That's not that hard to do.
I don't know. I don't have the War Machine. I can't really comment on it. I just know that if I'm showing somebody Blood Bowl, there's a way I play, and if I'm at a tournament, there's another way I play. And it kind of
you're a good person. That's the difference.
Well, I'm not that good. I still went to the tournament and tried to win. I was still a tryhard for 2 days. I mean, only a tournament created by Xtreme though, because those are the ones that matter.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to win, and the harder I tried, the worse I did. That's the fucked up thing with that game. When I didn't care, I started winning. I don't even know. So Xtreme, War Machine, way more competitive. And you're saying Ice and Fire took you down that path.
No, I didn't say it took me down that path necessarily, but I saw the same like breadcrumbs that were headed in that direction. So it concerned me. And then when I saw the local group was super competitive, I was like, well, this sucks. I don't want to do this. If you found not normies, but people like you to play, you probably would have stuck with it, right? Probably. Because it had the one army that I didn't think would ever come out for the game. That was the one thing that I always said would get me into the game, and then they released it. I was like, okay, well, I said it would get me into the game.
Yeah, because your bluff.
Well, we talked about building these armies in Kings of War way back when. Remember, we talked about to Mike's point about a human dashing. We're like, well, we could all make Kingdoms of Men fun by giving them a Game of Thrones treatment. That would have been an easy way to do it. Obviously, the models, you kind of need something. You're looking around for things that'll fit. But yeah, it came out with that army, and you figured why not go in? So I remember when you were really wanted to give it a go. And I know you spent a lot of time painting, but I don't know how much actual play time you really got in. Not much. I think I played 3-4 games. Yeah. Is that Saltier? No. Family time games. Oh. Players are family time. That's supposed to be for the family. Yeah. All right. Biran, your cons, you probably have a bunch besides.
No, not really. I mean, rank and flank is just something I don't like, so that's not necessarily a con. The con for me personally is theming. Yeah. Because F that.
Were you
Funny side note, Vanessa, who's a teacher, has kids coming up now who are named Khaleesi. Oh. I'm wondering if they named them before she did her heel turn.
Well, that was at the end, so.
Yeah, I think it is. It's like, oh, you're a homicidal maniac daughter. Nice.
It would have been safe if you just named the kid Ghost.
Yeah.
Like, there's not going to be any kind of heel turn there.
Or Hodor.
Yeah.
That's true. Or what was his? Is he Willis? Is that his name? What was his?
From.
No, when they said
Different
it's not
Strokes.
No. Anyway, they were. It's not Hodor. It's.
Right. Oh, his real name. Right.
I forgot what. Yeah, I thought it was like a normal name, but also Different Strokes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Jump the shark with fucking Sam. Why?
That little ginger ruined everything.
That guy who played Hodor was interviewed. Have you been watching that Anthrax documentary on YouTube? They totally interviewed him about Anthrax.
I haven't watched it yet. I have a bunch ready to watch. Is that Christian Nairn? I think.
Oh, I don't know. I just know
he does a lot of DJ work.
He's like a French DJ, I think, right?
Yeah. No, he's Mushmouth, isn't he? Mushmouth's Brit.
Oh,
yeah, he's British.
Yeah,
I think French. I don't know why, but maybe Andre the Giant look. I don't know.
Yeah. He has the Mushmouth, but he's also he's on Cameo as well.
Wow. He's like, here are things I won't say. Hodor. Like that's the only
if
reason.
You're on Cameo. You'll say anything.
Yeah.
That's why I'm buying it. Could you imagine? Like, here's my price. Here's my price if I have to say Hodor. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
200 versus 50. Get out of here.
Right.
All right, so rank and flank, not really maybe digging the show or whatever, but it never stuck with you anyway. You tried the game. I don't think it ever really stuck with you, right?
No.
Okay. Mike, cons.
For me, and this might be a pro for a lot of people, there's very limited hobby aspect to the game. You can paint your minis, but that's it. They're one pose. That's, you're just going to paint your minis, and that's pretty much the only hobby aspect to it. So
Do you think that, and maybe you don't, maybe it's just I don't know, but you said you don't want to paint them. You probably won't paint them. Is that because of all the other games you play, or because they remove the hobby aspect, so you've already taken yourself out of that mode?
Well, I told myself that I only have so much painting time, and this is the game that I will give myself an out for. And so I said, I'm not going to paint any of these minis. They're good enough as is. So, because it kind of has a little bit of a board game feel to it. Mm-hmm. So I'm not too concerned over it.
I would agree. Yeah. It's, and it's a lot of models. I mean,
yeah, it really, even with only 5 units, it's still, that's 12 units. 12 times 5 is 60. That's
12 on the base plus the add-on guy for everyone.
Yeah.
You're going to have, I mean, over 100 models at least in most armies. When you get
a good some variety in that. Yeah.
So. It's probably like 75.
Yeah.
75.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
For me.
I actually, if the single pose suck, it would bother me. But because they don't, I'm okay with it. Like they made it a point to do, is it 3 or 4 on each, like with each group?
Each group's got like 4 different poses.
I think it's 4 times 3 of each, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
I think that's what it, or maybe 3 times 4, whatever it is. But there's enough where if you actually place them on the base, different.
I totally do that. I separate them all the poses out.
All the time, because then it makes me feel like, and sometimes I'll even turn one a little bit. Now they're all different guys, because I always think back to like old Warhammer, shield, sword, it ain't that. They look really good, but to Mike's point, it is limited. I mean, I don't think there's really, I'm thinking about the models now. They're in very dynamic poses for the most part. So conversion wise ain't really going to be a thing. You could probably cut a head off and put another head on, but I don't think there's real conversion, which I'm fine with, but not everybody would be.
It was a different feel for me, because normally it's like you buy a box and then you got to assemble it. So you got all this planning and what am I going to do with pose? And for this game, I go out, I buy a box, and I'm done. It's just now I own this box that I can use in my next game.
You can use it right then and there. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
you can buy that box and immediately walk over to the table.
Yeah, how about a pro we didn't mention? So all these games that we review, for the most part, we talked a lot about the Crisis Protocol. Mom and kids see the box on the shelf and immediate purchase because look, it's the Avengers. Open it up. Oh, Christmas sucks today because I can't put these together. Like this game, you can literally buy it on the shelf, play it at the store immediately.
Immediately, yeah.
It at the most card updates, but otherwise you play right away. So the way I would look at it, Mike, to kind of counterpoint that, it's to me, it's I'm removing all the steps. So now, I started painting the Stark Army because I got to jump levels. I got to skip right to level 4 painting because everything else was done already.
Oh yeah.
I bet you will one day. If your group plays 15 games of this within this year, you paint.
Here's what they did that I will say, no, that will never happen. Every faction is a different color. If every faction was gray, I would probably paint them because it'd be harder to tell them apart. But because Baratheons are yellow, Starks are red, or Lannisters are red, I can immediately look and see which unit's mine, which unit's the other, my opponent's, and they've got a theme to it already.
Do you have any other games with various colored plastic that you also chose not to paint? Or no, I take that back. Do you have any games with colored plastic that you have painted, is what I meant to say?
Not really.
Yeah.
Other than like sometimes the GW plastics are different colors.
Oh, that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. So no, I can't think of other than a board game, and I kind of in my
bought Descent or something off the shelf, and the bad guys are red and the good guys are gray. You just leave it as is.
Yeah, it's a board game. I'm not going to waste my time painting board game pieces.
So, Mike, what if I started painting my guys?
Ooh.
Would you be shamed into doing it?
Probably not.
Mike does not have time. He has 6 more great unclean ones to paint to go along with 6 other ones. Great unclean 1, more like great unclean dozen. Callback. So, all right, Mike. I you know what? I applaud your stance because you've taken you decided to I'm gonna make this call right now. I just think you're wrong, and I think you will prove yourself wrong if you play the fuck out of this game. I don't think that's even going to happen. I think the rotation of your group will cause this game to hit the back of the pile within 6 months.
What Ryan are doing though, we're playing it on the side.
It's extracurricular.
Yeah, it's like cheating on the group.
It's extra credit. Yep, it's weekend.
How do you remember all these? If you're swapping games every week, how do you remember everything?
We don't.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go. I guess that's the answer. You have the book phase of every turn. I love when you're playing a game and like somebody new comes in, like they think Grognard is like GameStop or something. They don't even know what they're looking at. They come in, they're like, "What are you guys doing?" Like, reading. Like that. They catch you in a moment of looking up stuff. Like, yeah, I don't know what morale phase does. Do you? I gotta look it up. And someone's like, "Yeah, this looks fun. Bye."
I think someone walking in off the street could probably understand and relate to people reading more than they could pushing out like little models around the table and pretending to be a general.
Or setting up 6 tubs worth of sci-fi terrain.
Yes.
Well,
Are
we're
you saying, rules lawyer phase is more popular than like fight phase?
No, I'm just saying, like, to someone who's never been in a tabletop store, seeing people reading is more relatable than seeing someone actually rolling dice and pushing little figures around.
I mean, if they're sitting in nice chairs reading, but they're going to be 2 fat asses standing up with a book facing each other. It looks like we're reading.
And personal fans pointing at him.
We're reading vows to each other out of a book. Now you go. It says here you may re-roll. You may. What does
May or shall? May or shall?
Like, bye. Fuck this place. Fucking dorks.
Do I buff myself or just other units?
Right, yeah. No, can I buff myself? Am I a friendly to myself? Doesn't say. Check the index. Doesn't have an index. That guy's long gone. You know what? Keep running. Pretend like you're playing on a space board and keep going forever. You don't want to look
a big
back.
fat guy with a laptop with a fan plugged into the laptop pointed at him, saying, "I don't know how to spell Brian."
By the way, is it weird that a laptop at a game table is way more dorky than books at a game table?
Yes.
Why is that? It is though, but why is it?
If you're gonna play on a laptop, why are you at a game store?
Yeah. You have a laptop open or a tablet there versus me opening up a book. That guy's the dork in the group.
Well, Todd, our good friend Todd, has a special disdain for technology in general. So his worst case scenario is a guy plops down with a bucket of day-old KFC and opens a laptop.
Yeah, I could see that.
Oh, Todd does like to stream his BattleTech games.
He does, yeah. Well, I think that's Loud Tony's influence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because immediately he's gonna plop down. He's gonna get chicken grease all over the fucking doorknobs too. You know what I mean?
I did mentioning Todd made me think of one more con.
Okay.
Todd likes it.
No,
Todd,
in Song of Ice and Fire game, you bring when you heal wounds, you bring models back. And there's a certain group of people that doesn't make sense to them. Like, what? You started off with 12 models. I got you down to 3, and then you do some bullshit, and now you're back up to 8.
What are you playing, Necrons?
Well, you know, but
but are you saying, is it because that's a a common mechanic in most of the armies have that. Does it always represent healing, or is it also reinforcements?
Both.
I mean, that's the thing, is it's an abstract concept that I have had some opponents rage at that, because they're like, what? I attacked you and you got all your guys back, and I'm down.
I didn't even think about that. So
I can see Todd getting all toddy.
There's a group of
that's what made me think of it, because that happened a couple times. So
yeah, I did see that happen when you were playing them.
When you're dead, you're dead. I don't want to see them return.
Yeah. Now, again, I don't have a problem with it, but some people, because again, it's an abstract. It's not 12 guys on the thing. It's a representative of the morale as a fighting
right. Like in Kings of War, there's not literally one guy left in the unit.
Well, unless you started with one on your base.
Yeah.
Rosy cheek motherfucker.
One spear goblin on a horde base.
Yep.
I think I played Pat once, and he used one salamander on a horde base.
Yes.
And it was actually a lizard man model anyway.
It was, yes. I remember that.
It's like, you have how many salamanders in the shed? You could. Anyway.
They're all missing their arms.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Should have been in one piecer. Mantic, take a lesson from CMON or CMON or Cool Mini or not. One piece them. One piece. I like it. Fun fact, even though it's one piece, they can still break. The halberdiers on the Lannisters.
Yeah.
Come on.
Just snip those tips off.
Yeah.
Get it over with.
And snip the plumes off too while you're at it. Just for for my sake, please. All right. Well, we covered the game. Obviously, there are how to play videos. Go check those out. And you can pick your faction at this point. If you're looking at it now, there's 5 out, 6 out. There's plenty of stuff to get. You didn't just have, if you passed on it when it was the Stark versus Lannister box set, and you always thought, I'd like to try it, now is actually a really good time to jump in, because there's a new rule book out or on the way out, right?
It's out.
It's out. It's in the Greyjoy
book. Is it a book, or is it a PDF on the website, or both?
Both. It comes at all of the starter sets going forward will have it in there. The Greyjoy starter set has the new book in it.
Can I buy a standalone book, or is that out?
No.
I don't think you can at the moment.
Con. Sorry, guys. Eric Lang, Michael Chenal, or to quote Ryan, Michael Chenal or whatever. Can't buy a rule book? What gives? Automatic 0.5 down.
Tough but fair.
Can I not buy a fucking rule book?
You can't buy the cards yet either.
Can't get the cards. Because I had the hardcover rule book from the first one.
And now it's useless.
Well, I get that. But Todd, I think, sold it. Like, he had it on the shelf. He sold that one. I don't know. Whatever. Not to make it a downer, but I just wanted to throw that out there. I want to buy a rule book. I want to give you some of this. You give me some of this. And I want to smell
pages. That's a pro too. It's 20-page rule book.
They could add the lore, or you could go get the books.
The hardcover one was double the size, I think, because they put
fluff.
There's lots of fluff.
It's probably
like hobby stuff, right?
I think it was a little like a page on each unit, but it was only Stark and Lannister anyway. You know what I mean? But it was like, the cavalry is there, and then they give a little blurb, so it wasn't much. I like a good hardcover book. Games Workshop knows that, and they want to sell you 1,000 of them. I just want one for each game. Give me one nice hardcover for every game. That's all I want. Anyway. Or give me the Mantic treatment, a box that looks like a book. I'll take that too. Anything else before we get to our Zlurpee ratings? All right. ASOIAF, the miniatures game. How do you say that word, by the way?
ASO for
A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah. Do
Come
some
on.
people just say song?
I'd say Ice and Fire more than anything.
Yeah, me too. I thought I saw a song online. Weird. Abbreviate that. I'd even accept GOT miniatures. You know,
Come on miniatures.
come on, got.
Oh God.
So let's start with our most played. I'm gonna say probably Mike and Ryan more than me. I've got maybe like, I don't know, 5 or 6 games under the belt. So you guys probably have more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go Ryan, Mike, me, Xtreme, Biran. Oh, Biran's in the back for the first time. I like it. He's eating ass without his own ass getting eaten, and I fucking love it.
Back of the centipede.
Yeah, man, enjoy it. Keep munching, caboose. All right, Ryan. How many Zlurpees? Halves are okay too, by the way. 1 through 5.
And your score doesn't matter.
And your score is
Except for in your heart.
Right. In our heart.
what was it like? And the points don't matter. Nothing's real. Like a
Whose line is it, anyways?
Oh, right. Yeah, that's what it is.
I will say 4.5.
Okay. I predicted that one. Great score. Mike,
Do you have a prediction for me?
4.
0.5.
4.5.
Wow.
I
Okay.
will put it equal to Kings of War.
Wow. Okay.
They both have pros to me. Kings of War more the hobby side and just pure fantasy, but this, I think it's a lot easier to play. I think it's easier to say, oh, a pickup game of this is a lot easier than a pickup game of Kings of War.
Yeah. I actually thought you were well, and also you did say Kings of War would be a 5. So I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simply because I got more invested. And I do appreciate the hobby aspect of
I
Kings
mean,
of War.
if that's a big chunk of the reason for you, there's no way you can be perfectly even, you know?
But this game plays smoother and it's different and distinct enough that
Agreed.
I agree. Yeah. So
I
4.5.
Okay, great score. I you know, when it came out, the comparisons to Kings of War was everywhere.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, I kept thinking, well, Kings of War is so good, so smooth, it's fun. I got an award at NachoCon for being the best general.
Yep.
Then I play this one time and I'm like, fuck, it's good. The theme's good, but the game is good. And the side, everything's great. So also 4.5 for me too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Xtreme.
I think it's funny that everyone brings up Kings of War because I think they're both great games and they're both games that I enjoy. But they're also very different games, and they both have good things that they have going for them that are different. They're not the same rank and flank style games.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this one a 4.
Great score. Quick side note, there's a guy in one of the, I don't remember if he's in the Ice and Fire group or the Kings of War group. I think, I don't remember, but he's making MDF bases for the Kings of War size that fit the Game of Thrones models. So it's kind of cool that, like, yeah, why wouldn't somebody do that? Because you can't, the plastic trays are there's no
Yeah, no.
doesn't match anything in Kings of War. So he's making all those to slide them right in. It's kind of cool. Good score, Xtreme. Wow, this is
Yeah, this could be high ranking one.
and Biran, you know, Biran though is gonna tank it.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna be brought down to reality real quick.
It'll still stay high because I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3.
Okay.
I'd give it lower, but I just think that sideboard is so genius that I can't go lower than a 3.
What did you give Kings of War? Do you remember, Biran?
I gave it a 4 or 4.5.
You like it that much better. And you don't even like battle games like
I think the fantasy races make it more fun to me. The differences between the armies make it more fun to me.
and Mantic Stank is a non-issue for you.
Yeah. Well, it is. It kept it from being.
Is there any CMON Stank?
Not yet. I've been happy with most of the CMON stuff, I guess.
You guys tried Fistful of CMON?
Is that the game where No, that's the Boner card game that I saw for sale.
Boner Storm, yeah.
Boner Storm? Yeah. By the way, I found my Boner Storm cards. I don't think you got the rights to use those pictures of those nude women.
No.
I think you went on the World Wide Web and found an adult site and then made them his own. I don't know though. I hope I'm wrong. Hope I'm wrong. Cumulative score with and without Ryan. What do you got?
Without Ryan, we're at a 4 dead even. A rare 4+ score.
Yeah,
With Ryan, it goes all the way up to a 4.1.
Okay. 0.1, Ryan. That's you.
I'll take it.
You're the rounding error.
Welcome 1/10. That is you. Great score. It is, like Biran said, in the upper echelon of games. I don't have the list nearby, but there's only a handful that are 4 or above cumulative. There's not a lot. Not a lot of battle games either.
No.
This might be the only
believe this
battle
is
game.
the-
That's in.
I think this is the 6th that is in the 4s.
And the other ones are not full like battle. They're small games.
Didn't Kings of War get pretty high?
Kings of War is a 4.25.
Oh wow, okay. That's because Biran made the difference on that one.
All the other games that are over 4 would be board game-ish.
Okay, great score. Ryan, thanks for coming on. Your second appearance, better than your first.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We need you because our season 2 of this is the we need help season. You know, season 1 was we got it. Problem is we blew our load in season 1.
Yeah.
You gotta pace yourself.
We reviewed all the games that we played like a bunch of morons. We should have picked some other games. So now we got to hit the other games. And so we may ask your assistance again to be our expert, our subject matter expert, if you will.
Our SME.
Or SME. Make sure to follow on social media at Zlurpcast. Tell your friends. I'm talking about game friends, your real life friends, all peoples that you know, all the kingdoms of men. Tell all of them to subscribe to Zlurpcast on YouTube. We had a nice little increase after Wytech joined. He brought a few followers on, and then it's plateaued, much like the scenery that came in the Kickstarter, that plateau piece. That's a nice one, by the way. You just plop on there. You're like, done.
Be like Johan. Be a subscriber.
Yeah. Johan Mata, great fan of the show. We'll jump in and talk about anything we're talking about. You should do that too. We're always going to reply. Zlurp Nation link is in the description. Get some bonus video content as well, sent right to your inbox. And Zlurpcast discussion is a Facebook group. And last of all, look at these 4 shirts on your screen right now. I mean, there's a game called Death Path. I don't know. I found it in a dumpster one day after work, and I'm like, holy shit, it's pretty good. And I bought them all up, and now the leftovers are on eBay. These are some characters in the game. Nacho Bandit, Little OP. He rolls a dice, a burrito appears. What the fuck? How's that even a thing? It's a thing. So check it out. Zlurpcast.net. Get your stuff. And just added to that store, Gamer Archetype Apparel. Rep your brand. If you're a fat bearder, you're a bald fuck, you're that guy, fedora guy, all of them represented. Wear a little pin. Hey, that's me. You can get a shirt that's got all of them right on there. So it's, you know, in the age we're living in, you can be proud in your own skin. We didn't have that growing up, kids. We had to hide certain things. Now, let it all hang out, but do so with the Zlurpcast brand attached to it, please. We want our logo on whatever is hanging out. Okay. That's all for today. Bye, everyone.
Zlurpcast! Brought to you by Nuffles. Bet you can't just roll a one.